amazing story. Citizens you are in for right now. Good friend of mine who goes by the name of Bangladesh. Super producer.
That's right.
Hit me up and says, Sway, you have to know this woman. She's doing some amazing things in the D.C. area. You often talk about...
you got to say area.
Shout out to Baltimore.
There it is.
You say you often talk about the wage gap in America and the wealth gap that we see in America, the disparity for black folks in America and ownership and proprietorship. And here's a friend of mine that's doing something that could be a microcosm of the blueprint of how we could elevate our communities financially in a collaborative effort. And then it just so happened that the person he was speaking about is the person that Tracy G has been telling me about for months.
Yes.
Like, we gotta get her on the show.
No.
So Tracy, can you do the honors?
Oh my gosh, yes. This has been such a priority. It's just as Sway is saying, DMV citizens, this is one of y'all finest examples of black excellence. Social media, Instagram to be exact, introduced me to this dynamic force of a woman via her culinary movement. Culinary lifestyle, product line, the Spice Suite, which I thought was just exceptional. And so I was like, okay, my curiosity just kept growing, especially when I saw this woman's fashion. I was like, her fashion is as flavorful as these spices.
Yeah, you start biting her style.
Shut up, Calloway.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
Anyways, but as I got to know her and saw the many roles that she balances, as a mother, as an activist, as an educator, clearly as a businesswoman, as a dream incubator, I was like, okay, there's so much more here. And with this latest venture that you just alluded to, Sway, Black and Forth, it just takes it to a whole different level. So citizens, an angel is amongst us, literally. This is Angel Gregorio.
Right, welcome to the show,
Angel. What up, AG?
Love it.
Thank
See
you.
her style, HB.
I love it.
This is purposeful. She was intentional in how she walked up in here today.
Everybody should be. We've been talking about that lately.
Yeah.
Like, be intentional. When you get dressed in the morning, you know what you're going to do. Set your intention, set your purpose. Don't half step. Be fly, be fresh every day.
Every single day. How important has your fashion been to your movement?
It's just so much of who I am, right?
Yes.
Like, I think my fashion speaks to my ability to take risks and not really care what other people think and do things that are different and kind of break the rules and buck the system. I've always done that in business and life and food. And so my fashion is really just an outward display of my inward rebel.
Your inward rebel.
Ooh.
Yeah.
When did you discover, like at what stage in your life, when did you discover that inward rebel?
It's always been present.
Yeah.
I've never liked rules. I mean, I have two brothers serving life in prison, right? So they broke rules in a different way. And I think for me, breaking rules came out as the person who, you know, when I went to high school, there was a dress code and we had this winter formal every year and folks had to wear dresses and the boys wear suits. And my first year I showed up in leather pants. So this is me, all right? Like, this has always been me, and I got in. And, you know, we were at the front arguing back and forth about why I couldn't come in. And I'm like, I hear you, but I'm coming. Like, I'm coming in as my full self. Like, I can't show up as anybody but me.
Is it some irony in the fact, first of all, sorry to hear about your brothers serving life in prison, but I'm wondering, how did those sentences inform this energy?
So much. My brothers and I were are really close, right? And so when my brothers were taken away, it absolutely impacted me, but it also impacted my trajectory in terms of my career. Before being a Spice Girl, I was an assistant principal, and I wanted to be an assistant principal. I started working at a youth jail because I really wanted to be the person that I wish my brothers were able to see when they were in juvenile prisons. Like, I wanted them to see someone that genuinely cared about them, and it wasn't doing this for charity work. So I said, well, let me just be the person, right? Like, I'm just going to be that girl. And so I started to go into education for that. And then life happened, and I ended up becoming a Spice Girl, and I knew immediately after opening a spice shop that I could not let go of this like activist version of myself. And so I started to invite community into my space via these free pop-up shops and hosting Spice Girls. So it's like I just try to continue to bring me along, right? Like, even if life takes me in a direction that doesn't seem recognizable, I still try to weave in some version of myself that makes this feel like this is where I'm supposed to be.
I love it. Angel Gregorio is here. She's a Spice Girl. I don't want y'all to think she's a member of a pop, classic classic pop girl band. That's not what this is,
got our
right?
own damn
Not at all.
band.
No, okay, all right. I just want to for clarity.
Yeah, for clarity.
But were you a
That's
fan?
important.
Stop playing Sway. Putting her on the spot.
At least a Mel B, right? At least Mel B.
At least. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Can't name one Spice Girl song.
Shut up, Sway.
But the name of your company is.
The Spice Suite.
Yes.
So we have a group of women that we call Spice Girlin', which is this collective of black women that support my business by helping run the shop for me when I'm not there. And in turn, they have a regular recurring space to sell their products. So it's this idea of going back and forth with these black women. And it started with the Spice Girls. And now Black and Forth is the name of my strip mall that I own in D.C.
Come on.
Did you hear that? She
Say
owned a
it.
strip mall.
Say it.
Come on.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Wow.
You know what, Angel, as we get to
Awesome.
know you more, we can feel that you could have gone in any direction before the Spice Suite, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Especially as your background as an educator.
Yeah.
Talk about your relationship with food.
I think all black people, right, in particular, have a very unique relationship with food. I feel like whether you grew up poor or affluent, we all have a memory connected to some dish or some person that made a dish for us. So I knew that when I started the Spice Suite, while I didn't know what I was doing, I had no desire to own a spice shop. You know, I've told that story before of me randomly seeing this Felice sign and starting the Spice Suite kind of on a whim. I did know that I wanted to make sure that this experience was quintessentially black. Like I have a stamp on all of my products that says made in DC by a black woman.
Yep.
I put, my pancake mix says 3 a.m. in the Pancake House, which is from a popular GoGo song, right? From Rare Essence. So I know that black people have this connection to food, and I don't ever want that to be lost. I know we eat out a lot, which is why on my Instagram, I always put we got food at home.
Yep.
So I want for this experience for food and black people to be a bit more of what it was historically for us, where it was more communal, and we look forward to sitting down, having dinner, having breakfast together. I feel like now we move around so much that we don't do that. So my goal is to make the flavor accessible enough that we can create the space and time to sit down.
Let's
Okay,
go.
Mike, this is amazing. And by the way, you're a great interview.
Yeah, I
so
told
much.
you.
You came ready, Mike. She came ready.
She's so fascinating.
Yo.
Right? I mean, I'm just
Yeah.
drinking
Thank
her
you so
all
much.
in, right? Like from the glasses, the hair, the accessories, the nails, the outfit, your cadence, how you speak. It's taken me a while to kind of get to the interview, actually,
Yeah.
just because you're just so a fascinating person. I like when people show us who they are outwardly, right? And I think that gets lost when people do interviews in media, and to you make me curious about you, and I think the brand of you sells before the product sells,
Yes.
right? And so if I'm curious enough about you, then I'll be curious about your product. With that being said, to kind of go off a base of what you've been talking about, I'm curious about that conversation and dialogue, because I asked this black chef one time, I was like, yo, so much of America is taking so much of black, what we'll call social, cultural soul food, right? And is commercializing it, and making it for themselves, and it's becoming a trend. And he said something to me, and he said, Mike, it's because to what you're saying, we look at food as an expression of love and community. We don't look at it as a commodity.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what are your thoughts on that in a sense of keep it community, keep historic, but also look at it as a form of commodity for commerce? I don't think we ever make that mindset shift.
Yeah. So I think that for me, because this is a business, right, like I always have to look at it as a commodity. While I enjoy food and how I express myself through food, and it absolutely is an expression of love for me, that is how I show folks that I love them. When they come to my house, if I cook for you, that means I really love you and I
Facts.
appreciate you. Like that's a thing for us. I think
Facts.
for most of us, right? Like
Yeah.
if you cook for somebody, that means something to you. I don't ever want for us to not remember that we can monetize things too, though. Right? I feel like sometimes we scared. Like black people,
Yeah.
we get scared to talk about like how we can make something into a business and we can monetize it. Meanwhile, folks come up with all these ideas and we get mad that we didn't think of it. We thought of it, but we just didn't dare enough, like have the audacity enough to turn that thing into a business, right?
Yep.
Like I had the audacity to turn my random idea of a spice shop into a physical business that has now transformed my life. So I think we just aren't daring enough. And it's for a multitude of reasons, right? Like we can go all the way back to slavery, all the things and all the reasons why we don't feel confident enough to dream out loud in a real way that actualizes that thing. Or it could be as simple as we're just scary. And sometimes we dream out loud around the wrong people.
Come on.
And we say things around people that are scared. And so they can't help but be scared for us.
They give you that scared response. Heather, we
Yeah.
were talking about, we've actually had an experience that you're speaking to, right?
Which one?
What she talking about, like sometimes we're scared to really invest in our own ideas, people scoop us on it, and then we get mad.
You get mad.
Yeah.
I literally just had, and thank you, Angel, for everything. I literally had a conversation yesterday on Heather B Live about folks sitting around and waiting on the fear. You sitting around waiting on the fear to come. You have this idea, and you just like, well, I know this is gonna happen now. When is the bad news gonna come? When is the other shoe gonna drop? And it paralyzes you.
And you know what? I'm sorry.
No.
I feel like it's because we've become so attached to a struggle narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like we have to struggle. So like when things feel easy, right? Like when folks interview me and they ask
You're
me,
suspicious.
like, what have been your challenges in business? I quickly will shift the
Yeah,
interview and
like,
say, I actually am not here to talk about that.
like,
and not because I want to make you think my life and my journey have been perfect, but that's not going to inspire you.
Yeah.
Like show me somebody who's inspired by hearing about your struggles.
Exactly.
That actually doesn't do anything
So
for
when
me.
you were talking about the audacity, and obviously President Obama automatically
crazy.
comes to our head, it was one of the reasons why I started a lip gloss line, a vegan lip gloss line, and that's one of the colors, and it's red. So it's funny that you wearing that red. No, you got it. It's gonna be sent to you. But it was that very thing that you're talking about. Like, have the audacity. Have the audacity to do it without these struggle stories always attached to it. Like, oh, I grew up poor, blah, 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 blah. No, that's really not my story. I'm a college graduate. I've done this. I got a strip mall. Like, all the things. And I think we're scared sometimes to say it and own it and walk in that.
Yeah, we're scared of ease. We say we want it, but we're scared of it.
Feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I want to open up these phone lines
So good.
and continue this conversation. Angel Gregorio is here. I
In
want to
the
talk.
building.
I want to talk about Black and Forth. I want to talk about the strip mall. I want to talk about the members of this movement. 888-742-3345. If you've been stagnant and scared to start a business or living in fear of all of these things, this is the perfect person to speak to talk you through it. All right, 888-742-3345. We got an angel in the room. Come on.
I know. Let's shift the energy.
Once again, just to recap, Tracy, who we have in here.
Listen, from the DMC, from the DMV area, this is just one of the superstar entrepreneurs, founder of the Spice Suite, founder of Black and Forth, new commercial space that she owns that not only Spice Suite that serves as their home, but also for 4 other Black women-owned businesses. Her name is Angel Gregorio.
I want everyone to follow her, too. Let's follow her, citizens. This is one of those moments where you meet somebody you may not know. You may not know their movement, but their story is are inspirational and impactful. Follow her on Instagram and Twitter at The Spice Suite.
Yep, and it's Sweet, S-U-I-T-E.
Yeah, kind of like the rooms I stay at when I'm in a hotel.
Oh, word.
You know what?
Happy
Top of the
Valentine's
line.
Day.
That's literally what I say.
Yeah, top of the line.
I like it.
Yes.
Smelling like wealth in here.
Why not? She owns a strip mall.
And spices.
These women that who have become members of your movement, how is it? How easy is it to become a member?
So once upon a time, it was a lot easier. Now
Okay.
that the Spice Suite has grown and our platform has grown, on social media, we had to put in a little bit more of a requirement for folks to join our tribe. We have not added new Spice Girls in a few years, though. Like some of these women have been with me for about 6.5 years.
Okay.
Like they've been alongside me on this journey. So we will announce when we're opening the space to new Spice Girls. But for right now, the tribe is set.
So with the membership, what else comes with it?
So for the past 6 years, I would offer these Spice Girl meetups. At my house, once a month, we would have these meetups where I would invite other Black women experts to come in and teach us these master classes and everything we need to know about business. I never went to business school. None of them have gone to business school. But as an educator, I know that it's important that we continue to learn. So I would do that. Now that I have the Spice Suite in this new space that's much bigger, I'm opening that up. And that platform is now called Community Business School. So through a nonprofit that I own, Community Business School is this premise that we have enough genius in our community to grow our community. So I invite these community professors to come in and teach us everything we need to know. And it is open for free to any Black person who's a business owner or aspiring business owner. And we'll offer scholarships. So we don't receive tips anymore at our store. Instead of leaving a tip, we ask that you scan a QR code, donate, and I in turn give all that money back out to the community in terms of scholarships to remove any barriers to business ownership.
It's amazing,
Her
right?
name is Angel.
Can you tell us about a few just success stories that you're happy about from people you met through this?
Yeah, so they've been, I mean, the Spice Girls are probably the ones that are closest to me, right? Like I engage with them most often. We've had Spice Girls who have been working in government for years and quit their jobs and now have their own space, and they're no longer with me. They have their own, retail spaces now because their businesses have grown. We have Spice Girls who come to me and tell me that they've been able to double the revenue that they've made in their business, that they no longer have to work their part-time job anymore, that they are able to like really sustain themselves from their business. Like what started off as like a little side hustle now feels like a real thing to them because of the education that they've been receiving from the meetups and the exposure that they've gotten from being able to pop up alongside me.
Wow, I love this, man. Come on.
Great.
Thank you.
Angel, let's say we were talking about a school in Rockland County, right? In Nyack to be exact. This was a high school that got under fire because the Black History Month lunch menu that was offered was chicken waffles and watermelon. So of course the uproar pulled up.
Cerise over there cracking up.
Hey, right over there. Yeah, just ridiculous. Like it feels like the obvious not to do.
Yeah.
If you were called in as a consultant, what would you, because it's not the first time this happens.
Sure.
Every single February we see the same headlines.
Yep.
What would be your advice to schools that do want to honor Black History Month, particularly through cuisine?
Yep. So I think it's the same, as these big retailers that we have these issues with, right? Like these major designers and folks who make these quote unquote mistakes where these things pass and we're wondering what the issue is. I think the first step to consulting is to get feedback, right? So the job of the consultant, if I were to come in to work with these schools, isn't to tell them what to do, is to ask the folks what they want. Like ask the kids, like what type of menu will represent your culture? If we were serving something that felt like you, what would that look like? And then we work with the culinary team to try to develop that, asking the teachers, but also looking around to figure out, is this student body, is this like the administration reflective of the culture that we're trying to represent? Because a lot of times this stuff passed because it's a Black school with all white teachers and white admin, right? And so nobody at the top was able to look at this and even see the issue. The same way with these rooms that we see with these major retailers, and we're wondering, how in the world did you pass this with a monkey on the shirt, right?
Yeah.
Because nobody in the room looked like the person that would be called a monkey. So we got to put the right people in the room. It can't be a single consultant to change this. Like these are systemic issues, and it comes from people not really seeing or hearing the folks who are being impacted or served.
Facts. Thank you,
Angel
Angel.
Gregorio is here, man. I feel like I would love to be a student when you were teaching.
Yeah, me too.
I loved it so much.
Yes.
We learning right now.
You're learning right now. Patricia's on the line from D.C. Patricia, what up? Rise
What up,
and
Patty?
shine.
Peace, and love. How's everyone doing this morning?
Hey, good. Peace and love to you.
So I have a question for you, Angel. I have a nail salon in Chevy Chase, Maryland, and I live in D.C., and I really wanted to be in the D.C. area because I live like in the Cardozo U Street area. Was it really important for you to have the location that you have now coming from Tacoma Park and going to where you are on Channing Street?
Yeah, I mean, I knew I wanted to stay in D.C., right? I'm born and raised in D.C., so this city means a lot to me. It's also important to me. The reason why I chose to stay in the city was because I wanted to start a bigger conversation. So this wasn't just about me bringing people along and doing what I've always done. This was really to spark a conversation about affordable commercial space. As you know, especially in the U Street corridor, things are ridiculously expensive.
Can you
we
explain
spend
a little bit
lot
about
of
people
time.
who are not from D.C.? That was a very
So
insight
the U Street, the U Street corridor is just expensive. I mean, it's like it's very white, it's very gentrified. D.C. is one of the most intensely gentrifying cities in the country. U Street is the microcosm of that. Like U Street is where you see that first. That was the city that we saw, the street that we saw change, not first, but early. But for me, the goal of this was bigger than just bringing Spice Girls along with me and Black women. It was really to spark a national conversation around affordable commercial space. We talk a lot about affordable housing, and everybody knows that there's an issue with affordable housing in this country, but we don't talk about affordable retail space. Like if we know that entrepreneurship is this gateway to success and financial freedom and stability and all these things, how do we get there with a bunch of online businesses? Like folks need a brick and mortar space. They need physical locations to be able to grow and hire staff and, and scale in a way that makes sense, that provides economic impact for generations to come. So I'm hoping that with me providing physical space at a rate that's affordable, that I am able to be literally, that saying, be the change you want to see. It's cliche, but it's really
it
what
works.
I'm trying to live and embody.
Okay, Patricia, I hope that helps.
That's a beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's good. No, that's a beautiful thing to do because I live in the area, but I had to go to Chevy Chase to find something.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So Positive vibrations for you.
What's
sis,
the name
all the
of
way.
What's the name of your business?
Imhotep Nail Spa and Wellness Services. Imhotep.
Nail Spa and Wellness Services. Okay, and
Yes,
then make sure you follow Angel at the
Wait,
Spice Suite.
I'm confused. What
Yeah.
is the name of it? M Hotel?
Hemtep.
M-
Hotep.
No, Imhotep, like peace. Imhotep. It's all in peace.
Oh.
Yeah. Are you following Angel yet?
Absolutely.
There you go. All right,
Yes.
Patricia, you're a citizen, okay?
Of Sway in the morning.
All right.
right.
We got
right.
Nicole on the line. Rise and shine. What up, Nicole?
What up, Nick?
Hey, how y'all doing this morning?
Feeling
Good.
great.
How are you?
Good. I just want to say, Sway, I'm just super proud of you guys for having Angel on here. Angel, I just want to shout you out. We've met several times during criminal justice work. I know you through Tony Lewis, or we've met through Tony Lewis, but I want you to expand on funding. That's the problem that I see for a lot of Black businesses is finding money to get the space. They really don't have much to start off with, and credit. So if you could just, expand on, what ways for those who are listening, they can fund their businesses and find the money to start their dream.
Yep. Good question. Thank you so much, too, for following along the journey. And yes, Tony, my brother, is who I do my community work alongside most times.
Tony's your brother?
That's like my brother. Tony and I are like this. Like where I go, Tony goes. Like
So
we do all of our...
Junior's my dude.
Oh, wow. The world is small.
This is
Connect in the
crazy,
best
right?
way.
The world
We
is
keep-
small.
We keep
Yeah.
bumping into
The world is so small, yeah.
Wow.
So in terms of like finances, right? Like for me to get this commercial acquisition was a lot. To have to go through the process to get the money. What I will say for folks first is make sure that you have the revenue to support it. Get a good accountant. Make sure that you have the actual revenue to sustain a business. You can't go out and buy a commercial property just because it sounds cool, right? It's like purchasing a house. It's not much different. You need to make sure that you can afford it. But what I will say is I have also used my influence and my relationships with politicians in D.C. to try and make sure that I'm not the last one to buy a commercial property in D.C. So I've worked alongside Councilmember Kenya McDuffie and some folks at DEMPED, which is a D.C. government agency in D.C. to create some legislation, which I helped to write, which is called the Commercial Property Acquisition Fund. So now in D.C., any Black person that wants to buy commercial property can go through this Commercial Property Acquisition Fund, where they'll give you up to 25% of your down payment for your property, up to about $700,000. So I know that it was a huge barrier, right? Like finances can be a huge barrier to entry and ownership for commercial property. And I don't want to be the only Black woman in D.C. that owns a strip mall anymore, right? Like I want there to be lots of me. I want this model to be replicated. As long as you don't call it Black and Forth, have at it, right? Replicate it. Let's have them all over the world. But and starting in D.C., I wanted to use my influence and impact to try to make sure that there's some legislation to back up what I've done, so that multiple people can do it, even if they don't have the relationships that I have in the city.
Word.
Nicole, are you?
Absolutely.
You're following Angel. You have your own business too, Nicole?
I do. I actually have a nonprofit, Veterans of Virtue, where we holistically help veterans heal. And so we are based out of D.C. and Atlanta, but I do a lot of criminal justice work because our fiscal sponsor is the Loam, which is Topeka. And so she works with Tony Lewis. So we just do a lot of work. I do a lot of work in the background in the community. I'm not looking for recognition. I'm out there in the streets really popping up here and there. So I just am very impressed with Angel, and I'm so proud of her. And from a sister to another, keep on shining.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for your words too, Nicole. We appreciate you. You're a citizen.
Sway in the morning.
This is Black history.
God bless everybody.
God bless you.
Yes. This is Black history now.
Yeah.
In motion,
Right.
in the flesh.
Absolutely. Dora's on the line from North Carolina. Dora, welcome to the show.
What up, Dora?
Thank you. Good morning. Peace and blessings to you all. Yes, I want to congratulate the Queen for having the audacity to start her business. I have taken down some points. I'm just at all. This is confirmation this morning to go ahead and do what I have on my heart. Currently, I have a nonprofit. It's called Peace Villages, an acronym for peace. Shade, I know you know this. Proper education always corrects error.
I should correct the error. My name is Sway, but so I might as well go ahead and correct that error. But go ahead.
Thank you for that. I do apologize.
No problem.
So basically, I just wanted to touch on some points that she said, and not really have any questions, but just in agreement about telling your dream to people, because that fear that we have in our culture will water your dream down. It's almost just like a disease that spreads. I believe as a culture, we have a trauma response.
Yeah.
In mental health, it's called PTSD. I call it post-traumatic slave disorder. And that's a whole nother conversation, I understand.
Say that again?
But-
Post-traumatic slave disorder?
Yeah, Tracy's writing it down.
Yeah, that's what I call it.
Okay.
Everything
Yeah.
goes back.
Because if you think we operate
Oh,
as
Harriet.
if we are traumatized, we operate as traumatized individuals.
We do. We
Yeah.
absolutely
We
do.
really do.
We really do.
On every level. We really do. So I just wanted to say, I saw an article about her strip mall like last week. And then I'm sitting in my car and I hear this and I said, okay, let me call. I don't
Yeah,
usually
that's
call
God
radio
telling you.
stations.
That's God telling you it's time, Dora. You got to
It's
get rid of
time.
all of this
And-
stuff and just start moving. You got your
Really
confirmation,
push
Ms. Dora.
through, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so my nonprofit I've had for about 2 years, my mission was to help children that age out of foster care because they don't have a natural support
Facts.
network of positive people pouring into them. But as it went on with this housing crisis that you actually touched on, it's a need for everyone, youth and families, to try to get it together. So I'm just creating a network of people that are going to pour into people that need help. So I'm actually starting an LLC and have a consultant program.
All right, Miss
where I'm
Dora.
gonna-
Miss Dora, when you ready, we got you here, Sway in the
Yes.
morning. Call us up when you all fired up and ready
Facts.
to go,
Sway
and you can go.
chats.
This is this. This is that. This is this. This is that. You got your
Yeah.
confirmation.
There you
'cause
go.
Nothing happens by accident on
Come
radio.
on. There you
so
go,
you ready to
Dora.
go?
Exactly.
All right.
It's time.
All right, you a citizen.
Exactly.
Sway in the
Give
morning,
it up
Miss
for Dora.
Dora.
Give it up for Dora.
Call us
Yes,
back
Dora.
with your 5 facts.
Okay.
We
love
excited
you.
for part 2.
My name is Sway.
I'm faded. I was faded.
Yo, she had, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
Dora had a lot.
what makes even that's important too. How you your presentation, your pitch, how you articulate. Angel, you do that extremely well. Can you
Yes.
speak to about communication? Like when you're trying to get subsidies or you're trying to find help, how important is the way you communicate?
I think what you communicate and the way you communicate it are essential, right? Like, but to know how to communicate well, you have to be clear. And not clear and like articulate in this way of like, quote unquote sounding white, clear in like your thoughts and like your vision of what you want, right? Like you come into contact with people often that could be in position to help you. And sometimes our thoughts aren't clear enough to be able to say that thing that we need and that we want to be able to get it. And so I try to spend a lot more time in like meditation and thought around what I want and what I need, what type of impact I want to make so that when it's time to say it out loud, it comes out exactly how it is in my mind. And so I think before we start talking about communicating and saying the thing, we need to spend more time focused on the thing and pondering the thing and meditating on the thing so that it's it's like crystal clear. Like write the vision, make it plain. Like it needs
Yeah.
to be plain to you first so that it's clear to someone else.
I love that. And then finally, as we begin to wrap up, Black and Forth is located where?
At 2201 Channing Street, Northeast DC.
Say that again.
2201 Channing Street, Northeast DC.
Please, if you're in that area, go support that mall, that strip mall. And then Mike Muse is going to hit you with something.
I just want to say, citizens, if you haven't, please go to. I'm on your Instagram account right now, and please go to her Instagram account, The Spice Sweep, and take a lesson from it. The branding of the product is so good.
It is.
I've seen so many of our individuals who Black owners of product consumer good companies. The packaging is just sometimes not there.
Talk
right?
to them.
And the presentation isn't there. It doesn't make me want to buy it. It looks very gimmicky. The words, I'm like, what are you even saying? I don't even understand what's in the bottle because
That's
you're
true,
trying to create too much of a statement
Yeah.
on the label. Folks, her labels are clean.
Thank you.
They're simple. The color palette is amazing. I can see that if I walk into the store, I would walk out with at least 10 bottles of things.
Facts.
You have things like Napa Valley blend. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, wait, what is that? That
Maple
just makes me
syrup.
want to grab it. Maple syrup. Sometimes we do too many esoteric, culturally specific
Yeah.
things that doesn't translate to mass market. She is proof, based upon the limited information I'm seeing on Instagram, that you can still be cultural, but still be universal enough to attract a wide-ranging audience. And I think that is brilliant.
Well said.
So I think if audience go to that, if you have a business, particular consumer good product, go to the Spice Suite and look at how to brand your product and how to do displays. Yeah. Your displays are sick.
Thank you so much.
Where do you get your spices from?
So I travel the world for spices and spice inspiration. I've been to about 37 countries in the past 7 years.
She just
She's super stunning on you.
Stunning on us. I'm gonna like 10.
On you, because you
show.
keep on you, Sway, because you've been here bragging about your country count.
Yeah.
And now she
Always
she
speaking
LeBron
Spanish.
you. She LeBron you.
You just a LeBron me, right? Okay, I'm Kareem now. Okay, 37. Okay.
I've been to about 37. And so I literally travel the world for spices. And when I go, everybody cooks, right? So folks always ask, like, how do you know what you're going to look for? And how do you know what to get when you get there? I don't. Like, there's not a place that you go to where folks don't cook. I go and I immerse myself as if I'm from that space, but I also go with a sense of curiosity. And I find spices. I get inspired by spices and colors and fabrics and all sorts of things. And I come back and I create recipes. And there's no formula for my recipe creation. Like, I literally think about, my motto is food is fashion. And I think about the food and fashion in the same way, in that you start with like this little black dress, which is like salt, right? Which is kind of quintessential, or garlic, something that most people can relate to. And then you layer different flavors and textures on top of that, and you accessorize it and you edit like you would an outfit until you get it right. And sometimes it's not right, and sometimes it's not right yet. There's some spice recipes that I kind of sit in my little journal and I'm like, it needs something. I don't know what. It's like an outfit, right? You put on this fly outfit and you're like, I know I want to wear it, but I don't have the shoe yet.
Right.
So I'm gonna wear it, but I'm gonna wait until I get the right shoe. And so it's like that, where it's like, I don't have the right paprika. I don't have the right salt for this. And you just let it sit.
I feel like Heather should be a Spice Suite ambassador.
I'm already a Spice Suite ambassador.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Okay.
I nominated myself.
Yeah, and she won. And you won. Congratulations.
There you go. We just made that happen.
Listen, it set your intentions, to Angel's point.
Yeah.
Like, and be ready, like y'all been saying. Just be ready.
Yep.
Before you go, I have to ask you, how much has GoGo music shaped and molded you into the person you are today?
Man, I mean, I was telling you before we started, go-go music is spiritual. Like, going to the go-go is like this experience that you can't really explain until you go. And it is a thing that bonds DC, right? DC is this place that is, like most places, there's lots of violence and all these other things going on, and it's very cliquish, right? So in DC, we don't have gangs, but we have crews. And folks, they form crews based on like streets and neighborhoods that they're from. But in the go-go, it's like all love. Like, you can be standing next to folks that you've never met from other quadrants, and the song comes on and you're singing together and you're dancing together. So it has absolutely shaped who I am, because it is like embedded in me, this love for my city and this thing called go-go that is very just DC and something that is very unique to us. So this sense of pride, like, this is ours. It's our thing. We know y'all love it. Even y'all folks in New York, we know y'all love it.
Love it.
We know. And you don't have to say it out loud all the time.
We can, though. No problem.
But you feel it.
Shout out to Trouble Funk.
Yes, EU, Red Essence, Backyard
UCB. Band, Chuck Brown.
Yes.
Come on.
Godfather.
Don't act like I don't know. I ain't been doing this too.
So have you been to a go-go?
No.
Yeah, you gotta come. You have to come.
I've been to parties that played go-go, but not a go-go.
No, so when you come to DC, we're going to a go-go.
Can we go?
We're going to see Backyard.
That means we're going to sweat.
We're going to see Backyard. Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, I'm looking forward to it. Okay, we got to go do a broadcast out there or something.
Yes.
All right.
Should.
Angel Gregorio.
Yes.
It's been an absolute pleasure
Thank you so much.
to have you here today. The Spice Suite is where you follow her. If you're in that DC area, please go support Black and Forth. It looks like an amazing space when we're looking at pictures online. Congratulations. And you're only in the first quarter.
Thank
you know what I mean? For all that you've accomplished to date. Continue this path, and we're here for you. We're supporters.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. Thank you, Tracy.
And then, absolutely. And then to your friend Sharice,
Yeah, Sharice.
Shout her out.
She typically hides.
Oh, I know. I peep game. That's why I'm putting her on the spot. Anything you want to say in closing?
I just want to say, like, to any aspiring business owner, my business advice is typically to start now and perfect later, right? To your point about labels and things, my labels weren't always beautiful. My business didn't always look the way it does now, but sometimes I think that we forget that perfection is like this illusion of progress. You're not really making progress when you're focused on being perfect, because it's never going to get there. So if there's something you want to do, start it now, perfect it along the journey, always reinvest in your business.
Thank you. Give it up for Angel Gregorio.
Angel!
Shade 45, Sway in the morning. Make sure y'all support her. Let's take them to the DC. Come on.